Alright, hello and welcome everybody. So this is my fourth episode. I know last time I was talking about Deed Planner and the temple and finishing that up, but I kind of changed my plans because I've decided to do some different tasks for a change. So right now I'm actually deep inside of my mine, and I've been trying to get a nice clean set of tunnels going. Um, but as I created the tunnel on the north side of the mountain underneath well, like where my mine is. My mine is underneath a mountain. So basically, a few tiles away from the edge of the mountain, I created a tunnel, and I went into that tunnel, I think something like 8 tiles deep or something, and then I analyzed some rock shards and noticed there were some veins. So as I was making my way towards the area here to find these veins, um, I discovered an iron vein, and I discovered two sandstone veins, And what else? Another sandstone vein there. So this is the tunnel I had created that was going west to east, and now it's going south this way. And just as I was going south here past this vein, I noticed another set of veins, which was these two sandstone veins here. And then now it's telling me there's a tin vein, and I haven't had any tin yet on inside my mine, so I'm pretty happy that I'm actually finding something different for a change. So right now I'm actually trying to find the tin vein. So I have to prospect some shards until I end up finding out where it is. I'm getting closer to it. It seems like there's quite a little cluster of veins here. So 3 sandstone veins, an iron vein, and a tin vein all close together. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is continuing to tunnel south. Because it seems like there's a whole cluster of veins here. So southeast. Oh, that's interesting. Normal quality iron. That must be a new trace. Slight east of north. Okay, east of north is back that way, so we know that. But this is new. This slight trace of normal quality iron. That's another iron vein. Okay. So it's saying a slight trace of tin east, so I have to turn this way and mine this tile out. It's quite the little cluster of veins here. I need to find some others though. I wouldn't mind finding some gold and stuff too. So, but first things first, we'll uncover all of these veins and then I'll have to reassess my tunnel and keep going. There was another thing I wanted to show everybody. So when you're running multiple clients, like I'm running the test client, which has a new library in it, and anyway, the last stream I ran into this problem where I was launching clients and it was crashing because there's too many clients loading and it was crashing, and I was like checking the logs and it said that there's a video like ran out of memory error, right? Ran out of memory. So I'm like, well, how can it be running out of memory? I have like 32 gigs of RAM. But I didn't realize at first that when it said running out of memory, actually Java was running out of video memory and not system memory. So now my video cards are, I have two NVIDIA GTX 970s with 4 gigs of RAM on them. It's in SLI configuration, so that 4 gigs of RAM is shared uh, because it's running an SLI. Um, so basically, what I had to do was track down which setting in Worm affects video memory, and I found out what setting it was. So I want to share that with everybody. So you'll see here in a moment, once I get this figured out here, I'll see if I can load the settings screen. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It may not work. Might have to create another window in here. Just give me a moment. I'm gonna find a way to create um, a new scene. And under that new scene, a new source. And that new source is gonna be the window that I'm trying to find. Display capture, primary, secondary. Okay, add source, add new source. Oof, that's nasty. Okay, that's not what we want. No, that's not what we want. So let's get rid of that. Actually, you know what? This is not that bad. What I'll do is I'll just go here, and then I'll go here. Okay, so you should be able to see. Um, hmm. Actually, no. Let's do a different. This window's too busy. There's got to be a different way I can do this. Maybe just capture the window itself. Uh, let's try worm settings. Add new source. And the source will be Worm Online settings. Done. Okay, so you'll see here it says terrain shadow detail. How detailed terrain and some shadows are. So this directly affects how much video memory Worm uses. And if you're running multiple clients and you have this setting set too high and you run out of video memory, the Worm client will crash, saying it is out of memory. So when I was running 3 clients and it was crashing, I had this set to very high. And I've found out how much RAM it uses. So very high uses 2 gigs of video RAM. So if you're trying to run 3 clients and you've only got 4 gigs, it's going to be trying to use 6 gigs and that third Worm client is going to crash. So you have to actually lower the setting based on how many clients you expect to run. So in my case, I only ever run 3 clients at a time. So I set it to high. And the way that I discovered how much video memory this uses is when I went into GPU-Z, and I'll show you the window for GPU-Z in a minute here. I'm just going to add another window capture. GPU-Z, add that, and it's going to be GPU-Z. Okay, so in GPU-Z, there is a sensor tab, and in the sensor tab, you will see, where is it? Why am I not seeing it? Memory clock, da 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 da. Memory used, yes. Okay, here, memory used. So since I only have one client enabled, and my setting is actually set to um, let's hide this, is actually set to high for terrain and shadow detail. Basically, this will only use 1 gig of video RAM. So Windows uses something like 2 or 300, or this is Windows 10 actually, uses somewhere around 2 or 300 video RAM with regular applications open, nothing open kind of thing. So then you add another gig on top of that. So if I was to load more clients, here, let me show you. Actually, I could organize this so that these windows show up a little bit better. So I'm going to take this window and I'm going to move it. That way people can see. Okay, so I have it set to high, and it's using 1329 megs or 1 gig of video RAM. Now if I change that terrain shadow detail to a lower setting, it'll use less video memory, and if I set it to very high, it would actually be using 2 gigs of memory per client. So since I have 3 clients, I only leave it on high. Each client will use a gig, and it leaves me another gig of video memory. So if you ever run into the problem where Worm is crashing, saying it's out of memory, that's probably why. So with the lower terrain and shadow detail setting, you can run more clients because it's going to use less video memory per client. So that's why in episode 3 I had a crash when I tried to load a third client. And another thing that's an unintended side effect for people who are streamers, for instance, if you're trying to load the Worm client and you run out of video memory, it will not only crash your Worm client, but it will also crash Streamlabs OBS, and your whole stream will go down as a result. So anyways, just for future reference, you can max out pretty much every other setting in the graphics settings. And it's just that terrain and shadow detail setting that's what actually controls how much video memory Worm Client will use. The other settings don't matter in that regard. Um, so, anyways, that being said, um, heading back to our mining, we're basically looking for a tin vein right now. I'm using my rare pick because I'm trying to get these rock walls mined out as quickly as possible. Um, so I have a ton of sandstone veins in this mine. I probably already uncovered probably about 7 sandstone veins, which is cool and all, but I don't really need that much sandstone. But whatever. Um, what I'm actually on the hunt for is metal, more metal. So the fact that I found this tin vein coming up here is actually quite nice. Um, we shouldn't be too far away from it now. And, you know, hopefully we'll find some more veins. So basically what I'm mining is the mine which is at the back of my deed that tunnels under what I call Tundra Mountain. Because above it is a bunch of tundra. Um, so yeah, that's what I discovered about the Worm Client. What else did I discover? There was something else I was thinking about talking about this time around. Can't remember what it was now. Oh, I ended up finding a little bit of source, which is kind of cool. Where is it? I had it in here somewhere. I had a source stone. Oh, here it is. Source crystal. Yeah, I found a source crystal in here. Probably give it to my priest because I went and casted that spell the other day from the tome that I have. Summon skeletons. So I probably should refill some karma on him. I don't know how much it costs. I didn't pay attention to how much karma it costs to cast that. If anybody knows anybody that is looking or that has a green tome rather, the green tome is for the Worgen Master title and it also gives the ability to summon Worgen or a Warg. Um, please let me know if you have a green tome charge because I would like to purchase one for my other priest, Longbottom, so that he can become the Warg Master. It's kind of the little theme I have going with my priests. So my main priest, my love, she has the Witch title from the Black Tome and the ability to summon skeletons and a wreath. And Longbottom doesn't have anything yet, but I like to summon spells, especially because I have a feeling, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I have a feeling that those types of spells will become more useful in PvE as they implement the new priest update. In the priest update, they were talking about some of the spells that can be casted by Powwheeler, um, namely, you know, the ability to spawn zombies, and then there was another Rite of Death spell or something. Anyways, some of these are Liblia spells, and apparently they're not usable right now on PvE. So they're thinking of taking those spells and making them usable on PvE, which would be kind of cool. So I imagine in the future, hopefully, being able to summon some skeletons on a warg at a rift, for instance, and have them battle along with me. So basically, I bring my priest along and I have my army helping me fight, you know, the mobs. So that would be kind of neat. East of north. What does this say? A faint trace of something east of north. Slight trace of normal quality tin north of east. Normal quality iron south of east. So north of east. So that would be probably somewhere this way or this way for that tin vein. Let's take a quick look and see if I can find that. So I'm looking at the east wall and analyzing a shard off the east wall now to see if it tells me anything about that vein. Okay, that we already know that. That's the tile over there somewhere. Okay, that's that one. East of south, so that's further. Normal quality tin east. Okay, so I just have to mine this out and I should hit the tin vein. I'm excited. That's my first tin vein. So now I'll be able to make those cake tins and use tin for other things. Sometimes, if I'm not mistaken, there is such a thing as people who run around with tin tools, and apparently the reason for that is because they're so light to carry around. I was looking at the bonuses for this. Now, let me see. I'm gonna go show you the bonus. Just give me one moment, and I'm gonna bring up an image in a separate window here. So let me just make a new window, and I will find the image that I'm talking about. So, vein properties, metal properties. That's what we're looking for. Add new source. Let's do this. Will this work? Wait. Um, that doesn't quite work, does it? Okay. You know what? I'm gonna delete that. I'll just add the image directly in here. Is it this one? No. Whoops, wrong one. That's not it. Is it this one? Yes, this is the one. Okay. Alright, so I'm just gonna drag this so everybody can see it. So this is a table of all the different properties for the metals in the game. The only thing they didn't have in this list was Electrum because they added Electrum after this table was created. Somebody in Worm Online created this table, and I guess it hasn't been updated yet for with to include Electrum. So anyway. So you can see here anyway, it says for tin. Now, if we're looking for tools, skip armor, and weapons. So the drawback to tin is that it takes 20% more damage. So you're gonna be, sorry, yeah, 20% more damage. So you're gonna be um, repairing more often on your tools. However, it does have a bonus, a 2.5% bonus to imping, and a bonus on upon creation. The repair speed is a little bit slower, so more damage, less repair speed. And then it's got 10% to bash. But like I said, some people like tin tools because of the fact that they're so light, apparently. Um, at least that's what I heard previously. I've never actually tried to create a tin tool and compare the weight to, like, say, create a tin hammer and compare the weight of the tin hammer to the iron hammer or whatever. But besides making tin tools, I guess the tin is useful for those cooking or cake tins for cooking. So it looks like I have that Wagoner contract ready. So delivery created. Okay, thanks. We'll go get it shortly. Alright, so basically I'm having some cedar crates delivered because I'm out and I need more, and I didn't want to have to create them all from scratch and wait forever to do that. I just want to get them as soon as possible, load my whole wagon full, and then I can come into my mine with some empty cedar wood crates and fill them up with all these rock shards. And I'm going to be sacrificing these rock shards to get my deed bonus up. So what I mean by that is manage settlement info. So far right now I have a faith bonus 2.7% for enchanting, and then 8 bonus seconds um, for my deed. So I'm gonna reserve all those rock shards for sacking to keep this bonus up to 10 seconds. Um, since I'm doing a lot of mining today, there's tons of rock shards, so yeah. Now, the other thing I would like to mention is that I had this plate set sitting in my inventory or my merchant's inventory for a long time, or was it in my forge? Maybe it was in my forge. Anyway, was sitting in there for a long time, and let me just add another image here. And I'll show you guys. So I'm selling this plate set right now. It's on auction on the Worm forums. If you want to bid on it, the starting bid is 4 silver, I believe, which is actually pretty good. I mean, considering it's fully casted, it's kind of I've started it at a decent price, I think. Um, yeah, rune. Yeah, actually, that's right. There are runes that reduce the weight up to 10%, yes. So in the past, when I had a rare plate set, I had the whole set fully ruined for weight reduction. A lot of people do that on steel sets. Um, so anyway, this one already had a web armor cast on it. So I didn't want to dispel those and redo them with AOSP. Um, AOSP is good in a way, but bad in another, and I'll explain why. So AOSP is when an enemy hits your armor, it takes damage. Now, when you go into a rift and you're using that armor, if mobs start hitting you and they start taking damage from your armor, yes, it probably does help with your participation points, but the bad thing is you generate a ton of aggro, and sometimes you get killed by mobs if you're not careful. So for that reason, people have started sort of, at least I've noticed, people have sort of shied away from using AOSP, and they've gone to using web armor instead. And the reason for that is because web armor slows mobs that are hitting you. And it's also useful in PvP if you're PvPing on, say, Chaos or whatever, and you're wearing this armor and somebody hits you, they get slowed and you get to run away a little bit easier. So web armor is a little more popular um, because of that. So that's why I decided not to dispel this set and actually just cast it as best as I could. So there's some 90 casts and some 80 casts in there. I think the total amount of web armor on this set is 810 if you're using the Great Helm and 800 if you're using the Bassinet Helm. I included two helms with this set because um, sometimes people like the Bassinet and sometimes people like the Great Helm instead. So I didn't up the price because of it. I just kept the price what I would normally put for a set like this with one helm, except I provided the other one. So you're basically getting a helm for free, technically. Um, but I haven't seen any bids on the set yet. I mean, steel armor sets like this are hard to sell these days. I mean, maybe a year or two ago they used to be sold like hotcakes, but now not as often. It's hard to sell them. So I think the right buyer for this kind of a set would be somebody who's more of a beginner and needs a good set of armor for going hunting and things like that. Something reliable that's gonna provide them with a good protection. Same thing if you're attending for a rift for the first time and you want better armor to go into the rift with, so that you're not getting destroyed. Um, that might be a little bit better for you, um, especially if you don't have the money to afford a Drake set or like Drake Hide or Drake Scale. Um, you know, plate steel plate provides, the most damage reduction for, I guess, a cheap set, I guess you could say. Um, Mind you, some people prefer chain and some people prefer leather, but anyway, I'm a platesmith, so that's why I have it. It was the last set that I had in my inventory, so it's up for sale. I just kind of want to get rid of it just because it's eating up space. And I don't keep inventory of plate sets around. I only do them on request now. That was the last one that I had that was actually fully created and just sitting there for quite a few months waiting to be imped up and casted. So I finally got to that the other day and finished that. So, as you can see in the bonuses here, steel takes 20% less damage and 30% less decay. Um, and from an armor perspective, it has 2.5% bonus to damage reduction. Um, your moon metals, Cyril, adamantine, and glimmer steel provide 5%. Steel provides 2.5%. So, you know, Cerl, Glimmer Steel, and Adamantine are extremely expensive, and it's, especially to imp it up. So steel is basically the next best thing. Anyway, um, that is up for auction on the Worm forums. If you want to bid on it, bid on it. Um, I don't think I have any bidders yet, but I haven't looked since this morning, so it's been up for a few days now, or a couple days. So anyway, back to mining. So once I knock this rock tile down, should get to that tin vein that I'm talking about. So normal, I can't remember how much quality that gives me. I'm going to find out in a minute once we get to the tin vein. I'm going to mine it with my pickaxe because I have an imbued pickaxe, and I'll see how high quality tin I can get out of that vein. Um, I have a feeling it'll be something like 70 quality if I'm not mistaken. Maybe more, maybe 80 quality. I'm not sure. Something like that. But I'll be able to create cake tins. So if anybody wants a cake tin that's like high quality, let me know. Because I'm a 95 blacksmith, so as long as I have the ore, I can make it. Here's the tin vein. Let's see what quality I get. 66. I'll get a few of them here just to see. Let me just drop this so we can get a pile going. Yeah, it looks like 66.4 qualities is the highest I could get out of, what is it, a normal vein? Yeah, normal qualities. So 66.4. Not bad, I guess. It'd be nice to find a higher quality vein, but it's my only tin vein, so at least I have one now. Um, Now apparently there's another vein here somewhere. Let me see. I'm gonna take a shard off this wall. There's another vein that popped up here we haven't gotten to yet. Another iron vein, I believe. Let's see what it says. So, normal quality iron south of east. Slight trace and a faint trace east of north. We already know what that is. Slight trace south of east, north of east. Okay, this is north of east and south of east. So if I mine this way, I should find this iron vein. Another normal quality iron. So I've found quite the cluster here. 3 sandstone veins, 2 iron, and a tin all close together. Which brings me to my next idea, or thought rather. I live on my deed alone right now. I'm starting to think in the near future I might hire some people to come work at my deed to like gather materials and stuff. It would make my job a lot easier because instead of focusing on banging rock and filling BSBs or crates, I could be doing other things while somebody's mining the stuff. So I've actually been thinking about that. I know that there's some players in the game that that's what they like to do in the game. They actually go from deed to deed, um, offering their services to help mine or do whatever it is that they do. I've been thinking about doing that. And then, I could always make them some tools for free, some free casted tools as a thank you. Um, Although they'll probably want paid in or want to be paid in silver, which is fine. But I mean, aside from that, I could always hook people up with free tools or something, um, as an incentive to come work here. I've also debated maybe just accepting people to come and be part of the deed, but because technically I have all the resources I need here. Um, there's hunting nearby. There's full access to all of the sea. Like if you look at the map, there's like a tunnel that goes southeast to the sea. There's a tunnel that goes west right through this piece of land to Hammer Lake. And then from Hammer Lake, you can go south into that other body of water next to Lormere and gain access to the South Sea. There's Dark Passage, which is another canal that leads to Lake Selkie at I-15. And then from there, you can go through Fogshore Canal to access the sea to get to Glass Hollow. And then there's another tunnel on the north end that leads to the lake above this one, the lake north of Greymead. And then from there, you can either go Maze Knoll Canal into Lake Selkie, or you can go north to the North Sea. So even though I'm in the middle of the server at M20, because of all the canals that have been built exiting this lake, I can access north, west, south, and southeast seas directly from the lake here. Um, So it's actually kind of handy. I like where I live here, and there's lots of space for deeds here too, actually. A lot of people who used to have deeds around here, they're kind of gone now, so. But anyways, I have access to hunting, and I have a farm going now, which reminds me I have to harvest that today. So I have to grab my priest, because my priest has higher farming on it, and go gather those crops. But what I'll do is I'll farm all of the tiles first on my priest, on my other priest, and then gather it with my high level priest. All the crops were ripe except for the last bit of corn, so I just waited one extra day for that. What do we got here? Nothing. Okay. I have to find out where that iron vein is. Let's take this and analyze it. What skills am I getting? Soul strength, soul. Get a lot of soul strength mining, I noticed. Normal quality iron east. Okay. So that means it should be right here. So it was right next to the tin vein. Okay, so drop this on the ground. Yeah, so as soon as I finish uncovering this next vein, I'm gonna go fetch my wagon, which is on the other side somewhere. I just got to 40 body the other day and 30 body stamina today.